Hi, welcome back to a brand new video snippet from Z-fari, the zombie novel. Today we're going to read the first part of chapter 22, and I'm glad that you're here. I hope you enjoy this one. Once again, I'll give the link for the Amazon.com page for this book, and you can go purchase the ebook or paperback, whichever you prefer, or you can come back and I will continue to read this book to you. I enjoy it. I hope you do too. I can think of nothing better than having a story read to me. So I'm doing that for you. Okie dokie. So we got a ways to go. And here we are. Chapter 22. The fight was scheduled for Friday night. At 8 a.m. on Monday morning, Allison began planning her lab. She would need someone she knew and trusted to assist her. That would take more thinking than simply deciding how she wanted to outfit the lab for her research. Meanwhile, back in McDougall's lab, the not-so-good doctor found that if he was to continue his experimentation with all of its elaborate and rather esoteric electronic components, he would need to replace that Hayes woman, Alice, or whatever her name was. He remembered that when Hayes was preparing for Phase 4 trial, she had brought in a patrol lab tech. Darcy, Debbie. Yeah, Debbie, that was her name. McDougall went to his computer and brought up the personnel directory. It was organized by surname. Damn. The patrol employed over 200 people in various capacities in the Wichita station. Damn. He began with the A's. Abercrombie Morton. Abyssinial Moses. Gee, that was a hell of a name. Abbott William. He found her name, Downs Deborah, and her extension 2644. He dialed immediately. Debbie picked up the phone and said, "Technician Downs," as she always did. She was surprised to find Dr. McDougall on the other end of the call, and even more surprised when he offered her Allison Hayes' old job. It was a step up in salary, prestige, and actually doing science instead of the boring maintenance of dusty machines. She thought it over for about 10 seconds and told McDougall, "I'll take it. I'll be right down." Debbie remembered helping Allison set up most of the machinery in the lab. Most of the equipment was pretty straightforward. She had worked with cameras and computers and most of the electromagnetic sensors that she found in the lab at various times during her career. The terahertz receptors were new to her, but Allison Hayes was the most organized person Debbie had ever met, and she kept a hard copy of the owner's manual of every piece of equipment in the lab in a filing cabinet, as well as digital downloads in clearly labeled folders on her computer. By noon, she felt that she was up to speed and told Dr. McDougall that she was ready for the first trial of the day. Dr. McDougall told her to save all the data for this trial as Phase 4 Trial 2. Debbie created the appropriate folder and files. Dr. McDougall had received his first 2 subjects from his friend and DMW, Dead Men Walking provider, Warden Charlie Thomas. Charlie was happy to help, and his rates were very reasonable. Like shipping cattle to market, McDougall thought, but delivered 2 in a Department of Corrections van, shackled wrists and ankles. One delivered to the cube and the other to one of the 2 holding cells down a hallway from the lab in the basement of the patrol station. Patrol troopers took the 2 subjects in custody at the van. They brought both down to the lab, securing one in an empty cell and bringing the other to the lab, opening the cube's door and escorting the man into the cube. The man's shackles needed to be taken off. The trooper told him, "We can do this with you conscious or unconscious, your choice," and then stepped up and stuck a tranquilizer dart pistol under the man's chin. The prisoner seemed compliant at first. His leg shackles were removed and one of his ankle cuffs. When a trooper moved to take off the second cuff, the prisoner made his move, turning to try to take the dart pistol from the trooper. The trooper fired. The dart stuck in the prisoner's neck and the trooper stepped back. Within 2 seconds, the prisoner dropped to the floor of the cube. "I think," Dr. McDougall said, "it will be easier to get the subjects into the cube if they are unconscious." "You may be right, sir," the trooper agreed. "Strip him, please," Dr. McDougall ordered, and the 2 troopers went into the cube and removed all of the prisoner's clothing. He was now sleeping and naked as a newborn baby and ready for his part in history, the doctor thought. "Please record the subject's weight, Downs," the doctor ordered. 155.9 pounds, or 70,715.05 grams, sir. Please bring the audio, olfactive, and electromagnetic sensors online. Yes, sir. Please bring the HD and stereoscopic recording. Yes, sir. Troopers, please put on the bite-resistant arm sleeves. Troopers hurried and donned their armor. The man in the cube began to stir. Troopers, please adjust zombie number one's chair to horizontal position. They did. Please move the chair to the vertical position. They did. Dr. McDougall waited. He waited until the subject was conscious again and had stood up, swaying slightly. The subject was still a little groggy, but realized he was naked. "Hey, what the hell?" he yelled. McDougall nodded, and the troopers opened the door of the cube and pushed zombie number one's now vertical chair so that it filled the doorway. The prisoner stepped back in uncertainty. "Set it free," McDougall said. The troopers loosened the straps and the zombie shambled toward the naked man in the cube. "That's our Jerry," the doctor told Debbie. As Jerry got within arm's reach, the prisoner swung and landed a right on the zombie's jaw. This had no effect whatsoever. The prisoner ducked under the zombie's outstretched arms and ran behind it. Jerry turned and tottered toward the prisoner again. When the monster got close enough, the naked man landed a powerful uppercut in the undies breadbasket. Again, this accomplished nothing. The zombie wrapped its arms around the naked man and lowered its mouth to the man's neck. The prisoner screamed as the zombie's teeth closed on his trapezius muscle and tore a bloody chunk of muscle and flesh from him. The naked man squirmed out of the zombie's grasp, blood coursing down his chest and back and falling onto the floor of the cube. As he tried to maneuver past the shambling undead horror, the man slipped in his own blood and fell hard onto the floor, striking his head as he hit. The zombie saw that the man was down and groggy and fell to its knees to bite the man's stomach. The zombie gnawed at the man, and within 3 seconds a spray of blood spewed out, hitting the wall of the cube and drenching the zombie's head in the man's warm gore. The naked man beat his fists against the zombie's head as the zombie continued ripping and tearing at the skin and muscle and vital organs it found. The man visibly weakened, his blows having less and less force and becoming mere taps on the zombie's skull or shoulder. Suddenly the zombie moved from the dying man's belly to hover over its mouth. The zombie waited there a full minute, its own mouth open in some sort of anticipation. As the naked man's slightly raised fist fell to the floor beside him, the zombie moved its mouth slightly closer to the prisoner's. And 5 seconds later, the zombie rose and stood in the center of the cube. "Open the door and net it," McDougall cried. The troopers did just that, strapped the netted zombie into its chair and rolled the chair across the room. "Weight readings, please," the doctor ordered. 155.884 pounds, 70,708.05 grams, Debbie Downs said in a whisper, her eyes wide in near panic at what she had just witnessed. No, what she had just helped make happen. "Call the custodians to clean the cube. We have another trial this afternoon," Dr. McDougall directed. "Troopers, get this body out of the cube and put it into an empty cell," he ordered. The troopers hopped to it. Debbie made the call to the custodians. Then she walked over to McDougall. I need to take a break. I need some lunch, something to eat," she stammered. McDougall glanced at his wrist. "Oh, look at the time," he said. "Lunch, that's an excellent idea. We'll come back renewed and refreshed in an hour. Make sure that all of the cameras and sensors are on standby before you go." As he walked to the elevator, she just about vomited when she saw it, a spring in his step. As she put herself to the routine of attending to the machine, she calmed down a little. She'd been shaking. Now taking the elevator to the lobby, she discovered that her palms were sweaty, but she was breathing more slowly. She left the building to walk off her anxiety. About a block from the station was a food truck, actually a beverage truck, coffees, chais, teas, sodas from around the world, and both still and sparkling waters. The young woman in the truck asked her what she'd like. "Chamomile tea, please. Do you have any lavender and valerian root you could add to it?" Debbie asked. The girl looked at Debbie and said, "Yes, ma'am. If you don't mind my saying so, you look a fright. Chamomile, valerian, and lavender will make things smoother, but I could also suggest a tiny bit of catnip. My grandmother told me that it eases the nerves and acts as a tonic." Debbie was touched by the girl's concern. "That would be wonderful. Thank you," she said. Debbie took the cup of tea to a tree-shaded bench in the park behind the truck. She sat and sipped and closed her eyes. Her dream job had turned into a nightmare. And then her phone rang. "Hello?" Debbie answered without looking at the caller ID. "Debbie, it's Allison," a familiar voice said. "Oh, Allison, I'm glad it's you. I'm having a terrible day." "Oh, Debbie, I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe I can make it better." "I don't see how, Allison." Debbie felt herself teetering on the brink of tears. Allison said, "I've been hired by a wealthy man to plan, build, and direct a state-of-the-art research lab. It's in the planning stages right now, but since money does not seem to be an object for this guy, I can have anything I want. And I thought about it, and I decided that I want you as my assistant. I can offer you 50% more than you're making tending to the machines at the patrol, plus insurance and vacations and stuff. I really need your expertise as I design this lab. Would you come and help me, please?" she added with a giggle. "Pretty please?" That was all it took to push Debbie over the edge into tears. She sobbed quietly for a minute and said, "Oh, Allison, thank you. Yes, of course I want to work with you. When do you want me to start?" Allison's smile was obvious in the tone of her voice when she said, "How about right now? I'm at Mr. Donaldson's on the north side of town. Come over and I'll introduce you to the boss, and we can get to work. Donaldson wants this lab set up and working yesterday." Allison Hayes gave Debbie the directions to Donaldson's estate. Debbie Downs sipped the rest of her tea, walked to her car, and drove across town to her new job.